Pope Francis, or Jorge Mario Bergoglio, is a name that resonates with millions around the world. He's widely celebrated for his humility, compassion, and progressive approach to leading the Catholic Church. But behind the icon of the Pope, there is a personal and intimate side of Jorge Mario Bergoglio, especially known to those closest to him, his family. To them, he was not just the leader of the world's Catholics, but Uncle Jorge, a man whose personal qualities went beyond his ecclesiastical role. Pope Francis's nephew offers an extraordinary insight into the man behind the papal title, describing a relationship grounded in love, simplicity, and familial warmth. Despite the Pope's immense global responsibilities, the deep personal bond he shared with his family remained unbroken. The family affectionately recalls the days when Pope Francis, well before ascending to the papacy, would spend quality time with his relatives, offering advice, sharing laughter, and providing guidance that transcended the theological. He was known for his simplicity, avoiding any airs of grandeur despite his eventual rise to the highest office of the Catholic Church. The nephew reveals how Pope Francis remained an integral part of his life, offering not only spiritual advice, but also words of wisdom on personal matters. For the people in Pope Francis's life, including his nephew, Uncle Jorge was a man who could be counted on for counsel, warmth, and support, unfazed by the lofty position he held. His nephew recalls that Pope Francis was always the same kind and humble man, whether in private family moments or at grand public events. This simplicity was not just an outward gesture, it was a hallmark of Pope Francis's entire personality, something that his family came to know and cherish deeply. His nephew remembers him as someone who would listen attentively, ask about life with genuine curiosity, and offer advice that was always rooted in his deep spiritual understanding, but delivered in a way that felt accessible and non-judgmental. These personal insights provide a rare and intimate look into the Pope's life, showing that despite being a global figure, he always kept his feet grounded in the love and connection of family. The personal recollections of Pope Francis's nephew provide a glimpse into the everyday moments they shared. One poignant memory he recalls was during a family gathering when Pope Francis was not yet a cardinal, but already well known within the church. Uncle Jorge was the type of man who made everyone feel at ease, even in the most stressful situations. His nephew fondly recounts how, at family gatherings, Pope Francis was not only a listener, but also a quiet presence of peace. There was a distinct atmosphere around him, one of reverence mixed with warmth. Despite his humble nature, Pope Francis exuded a sense of authority and wisdom that people gravitated toward. Yet, his nephew notes, it was never an authoritarian kind of presence. Instead, it was a gentleness that invited others to speak freely and express themselves openly. These family moments shaped the nephew's understanding of faith and leadership. One significant memory for the nephew came during a particularly trying family crisis. Pope Francis, then still in Argentina, made the effort to visit despite his busy life. During the visit, he offered a quiet counsel, reaffirming that family was the cornerstone of a strong society and faith. His presence, more than his words, provided comfort. To his nephew, this moment encapsulated the true essence of Pope Francis, the idea that a leader's role is not only to preach from a pulpit, but to serve the people, particularly those closest to him. It was a powerful reminder that love and support are integral to leadership. Another crucial lesson Pope Francis shared with his family was the importance of simplicity and humility. He often shared that true greatness comes not from position or fame, but from how one serves others. His nephew recalls Uncle Jorge teaching him that the most humble act is often the most meaningful, something that resonated deeply during their conversations. Pope Francis also frequently emphasized the importance of joy in one's service to others, saying that joy should be the fruit of authentic love and faith. Through these personal interactions, Pope Francis not only deepened his familial bonds, but also imparted values that shaped his family's lives. His example as a man of faith and humility continues to inspire those closest to him, making the memories of Uncle Jorge timeless and impactful. Among the many lessons Pope Francis imparted to his nephew was the emphasis on internal transformation as the foundation for external change. The Pope's belief in the need for inner reflection and conversion before attempting to bring about any significant changes within society was a theme that his nephew remembers discussing frequently. For Pope Francis, true leadership came not from imposing rules or doctrines from the top down, but from fostering an environment where individuals could genuinely reflect on their lives and align their actions with their inner values. Pope Francis's nephew recalls many moments when Uncle Jorge would stress the importance of self-reflection and personal transformation. His guidance was never about seeking external validation or striving for personal recognition. Instead, it was about nurturing a connection with God and living with integrity. Pope Francis believed that a true change in society could only occur when individuals were willing to transform themselves first, embracing humility, forgiveness, and love. This lesson wasn't just about being good followers of God, it was about being good human beings. His nephew recalls that Pope Francis used to say that all human beings were capable of profound change, but it required intentional effort. Pope Francis stressed that anyone who wanted to make a real difference had to first cultivate a sense of humility and empathy. The Pope believed that leadership, whether in the church or in society, was not about power or influence, but about service. In all their conversations, Pope Francis remained consistent in his belief that serving others should always be the core of one's purpose, and it was the inner change of heart that laid the foundation for making a meaningful impact in the world. The teachings on humility and inner change became foundational for Pope Francis's papacy and were consistently echoed in his public speeches and actions. From his encouragement of mercy over judgment to his appeals for the Church to embrace a preferential option for the poor, Pope Francis demonstrated these values in every aspect of his leadership. His nephew, who lived closely with him, understood that these weren't just political or theological ideals. They were deeply personal convictions. Luis Antonio Cardinal Tagle, often regarded as one of the leading contenders for the papacy, has long been a figure admired by Pope Francis. To Pope Francis's nephew, the connection between the two men is something that goes beyond shared theological views. It is about shared values and an understanding of leadership that puts the needs of others above personal ambitions. Pope Francis was deeply impressed by Cardinal Tagle's compassion, humility, and commitment to serving the marginalized. These qualities aligned closely with Pope Francis's own approach to leadership, which emphasized mercy, inclusion, and pastoral care over doctrinal rigidity. The nephew recalls multiple occasions when Pope Francis spoke fondly of Cardinal Tagle, describing him as someone who could carry forward the vision of the Church as a place of service and compassion. Pope Francis believed that Cardinal Tagle had the heart and soul of a true shepherd, and that his leadership could inspire positive change in the global Catholic community. The two men shared a deep commitment to the poor and disenfranchised, and Pope Francis often highlighted Tagle's work in Asia and his efforts to address poverty and inequality. Cardinal Tagle's humility also resonated deeply with Pope Francis. Unlike many figures in high positions, Tagle never sought fame or recognition. Instead, he remained grounded in the service of others. Pope Francis's nephew often heard his uncle speak about Tagle's dedication to pastoral work and his ability to connect with people at the grassroots level. These qualities made Cardinal Tagle one of Pope Francis's closest allies, and his nephew believes that Pope Francis viewed Tagle as a worthy successor who could continue his mission of reform within the Church. While Cardinal Tagle's rise has not been without challenges, his leadership is seen as a continuation of Pope Francis's vision for a church that is inclusive, compassionate, and focused on the real issues facing the world today. The nephew recalls how Pope Francis believed that Tagle could lead the church in a way that maintained doctrinal fidelity while embracing the church's pastoral mission. As the Catholic Church looks to the future and prepares for the inevitable conclave that will choose the next pope, the choices the cardinals make will be nothing short of historic. The question on many minds is whether the next pope will continue the work Pope Francis began, or whether the church will shift in a new direction. For Pope Francis's nephew, the upcoming conclave represents both a moment of uncertainty and a moment of hope. There are many challenges facing the church today, from growing secularism and the shifting role of religion in the world to ongoing divisions within the church itself. The next pope will be tasked with navigating these challenges while remaining faithful to the core teachings of the church. Pope Francis's nephew recognizes that the cardinals who will choose the next pope will have to weigh these considerations carefully. The future of the Church depends on choosing a leader who will carry forward Pope Francis's vision for mercy, inclusion, and service. In this context, Cardinal Tagle's candidacy stands out. As someone who embodies the values Pope Francis espoused throughout his papacy, Tagle represents a continuation of the Church's mission to be a source of hope and healing in the world. Pope Francis's nephew believes that Tagle's leadership could be transformative for the Church, ushering in a new era of pastoral care and compassion. However, with the challenges ahead, the Church's future remains uncertain. It will take a leader with deep faith, empathy, and courage to guide the Church through these turbulent times.